Alright, well, the ice and snow is mostly cleared. It's barely snowing a little bit. So we might as well do a little test ride on the Univega. So we'll do that real quick. It's a little different for friction than index. You can kind of just yank the shifter up and down in both the little ring on the front and the big ring on the front. So make sure that it doesn't overshift, the chain doesn't fall off anywhere. So we'll go through that a couple times, do the brakes a couple times. We'll probably need some adjustments. And I probably set the seat way too high. And it's almost freezing and I'm not dressed right. Really fun. Okay, so did a little barely sprinkling snow test ride of the old Univega. Did alright. The back brake acted like it was gonna try and squeak, and it went away. So it never really squeaked and wasn't a big deal. It's probably fine. I'll probably brake right in. Everything else was flawless in the test ride. It was great. It stopped well, rode well, shifted perfect, chain never fell off. Hesitate, bind up, do a bunch of problems. One thing I noticed is the bars moved out a little bit, so I definitely did not tighten the stem enough. So it's good to do test rides. So we'll go ahead and tighten this stem and then do some final double checks. We'll double check the headset. Let's do that after a test ride. Make sure it's still real smooth, no play, that's tight. I'm also going to barely just tighten up the non-drive side crank bolt, because on vintage cranks they're the ones that have a tendency to come loose and fall off sometimes. I'll put the dust cap on, and we'll make a little build sheet for this guy and put it up on the Craigslist for sale. See what happens. I've also got some stickers I gotta remove. So we're gonna goof on those guys. You gotta be careful, they won't even goof off. It's different brands. And Goo Gone takes stickers off bikes and bike parts, alloy, paint. Goof off destroys paint, decals, you name it. Alright, so we cinched up the stem bolt. Didn't really feel loose, but definitely moved a half a turn. Just gonna check this crank bolt. It's totally tight and fine, but just want to make sure. Whenever I work on a bike, I keep a tub if it needs it, or a little bag for all the small parts so I don't lose them. Got receipts, got the old dust cap, and I even went to the hardware store and got some weird little corks I'm going to try in the grips. And I saved a few wine bottle corks over the Christmas break to see if needs that. See what fits. This little crank dust cap matches the original drive one. It is unfortunately not nearly as perfect. That white is not focusing on is the bare plastics, the little plastic chrome's peeled off. I was definitely going on the non-drive side, but I was very lucky to find this matching little dust cap. I got it from Tomcat and he threw it in with some stuff. If I went on eBay, I probably would have paid $10 or $20 for one of these, and I would never do that. Alright. I got the kickstand on this bike because it's a gentleman's cruiser, city bike, cafe bike. So kickstand seems appropriate. This bike doesn't sell right away, I might go crazy. Show you guys how to do aluminum fenders, like Velo Orange fenders. Because this bike's just screaming for Velo Orange fenders. A real cute little front rack or a little chrome basket. Usually what I say is you can't put accessories on bikes when you're trying to sell them. It does not increase the value. In fact, you should always pull rear racks, fenders, any of that stuff off. Make the bike look pretty and clean. People will buy it, and then people can go buy whatever fenders and racks they want, accessorize it themselves. Even if it's the right thing, even if it's the same thing that 99% of customers would do, you're just always losing money doing that. So the same thing I do on this side, just using the side of the cone wrench as a big, giant, flat screwdriver in this dust cap. I'm not trying to get it over tight, just get it in there and then just kind of barely seating it with these cranks. You don't want it to fall out, but you don't want it to freeze in place. Luckily it's plastic, so it does freeze in place. You can take a chisel and a hammer and just chip away and break chunks of it off and in, and you can peel the rest of it out with a screwdriver or pliers. I've had to do that a few times and it sucks, but I'd rather not lose a dust cap than lose one because it's on too loose. I spent $150 on eBay because I wanted this tool. It was in a big part slot. I needed a few of the other tools and I sold off a bunch of other tools for some of my money back. But I love these guys and I don't want to pay $30 for a new one, so parts lot. Oh, I think this is not a normal size. That's right. Can't use this guy anyways. Gotta use big adjustable. Tight. I believe these are 7/8 corks. They come in all sorts of sizes, 3/16, 5/8, 1 inch. Little tapered guys. These bars are technically 7/8 on the outside. And yeah, they barely fit in. They're sticking out like a lot. But I might just keep going because I already bought them. So probably go at least a size smaller in the future. Whatever, it's cool. They stick out a little bit. It's old school. It's fine. Next time I'll buy the smaller ones. At the shop I always bought like a giant 500 pack of real small flat bar plugs. I really like to fit a lot of flat bars. They just always have little black caps to pop in. And drop bars I always use wine corks. Because some people I know are members of some fancy wineries. And they have cool wine corks with like their little logos on the end, little compasses and things, which I thought were very cool. That one went a lot farther. Still pretty cool. Gonna wipe off a little excess grease coming out of this front cone. Doesn't matter. I'll just make an extra water seal. But, you know, keep it as clean as you can. I do not like grease around the headset or on the seat post at all, because customers will get their pants stuck on it, and you don't want to grease customers, so no extra grease on the pedals, cranks, anywhere customers get a touch. Just a teeny bit on these rear cones. I do overpack all my stuff because it's better than underpacking, I guess. Now we're going to do a little goo gone. I like to do the red rags the best, so I'm going to grab one. Goo gone! This is the stuff I like. I haven't had it mess with a bike yet. The other stuff is evil. Get this brand. Rub. I like a rag because the texture of the rag will really start helping you dig in soon too. Rub it in here. It's going to peel most of these stickers off. So as little of this Goo Gone as possible, a little scrubbing as possible. These are my sweet Goodwill stickers. I got these at the bins. You guys probably don't have bins. There's a discount Goodwill where people just dump their stuff right into bins and it just goes out and sells by the pound. And sometimes they get really nice old bikes and sit in garages for 20 or 30 years and no wear on them. And it's usually a lot better price than a regular Goodwill. Definitely any pawn shop or bike shop or anywhere else you're finding bikes. And yes, I did get a outrageously good deal on this bike as far as I'm concerned. Some people might consider this bike too low end to care and think that any amount of money is a waste. But they don't make them like they used to. I like vintagey bikes. I'd rather have this vintagey 70s Univega than any brand new crappy $100 bike. Any cheap Chinese pop metal garbage. Lifetime guaranteed frames, made in Japan. Come on, chromoly, triple butted tubes. This is a halfway decent bike. Just gonna kind of scrub any of that leftover residue on and try not to damage these original stickers. This one's extra bad on the bar. It's from the bike shop. I bought these bars brand new from Velo Orange. And they donated them to another shop, put their sticker on and more tape and sat around. Ooh, and they don't believe in coming off. So these ones cleaned up just immediately and perfectly, like they were never there. This one's going to be some real work. So I'm really going to use my thumbnail, because I'm impatient. Just kind of scrape it all off. My thumbnail's nice and soft. It'll scrape all decals, logo, paint chips, vandalism right off of bikes without scratching the finish of the anodizing on the bar or the paint. In worst case, you bend back or break your thumbnail. Or die of cancer from always touching all these chemicals without gloves. But that's neither here nor there. A little more glue on. Really rubbing it in. Now we're down to just the glue and a little bit of sticker residue. It should come off pretty easy. Really let the texture of the rag almost act like a sandpaper that only affects the sticker. It won't really damage the ano. Sometimes I use my thumbnails or fingernails again. Really make a sharp edge to press under that rag. Ho ho, brand new. Looks good. It's got a little degreaser on clean rag, just to get any of that residue off from that sticker remover, because I don't want it to affect these Super Sport stickers at all, or anything else. Alright, let's take some measurements on this bike. What do you think? This bike felt huge when I was test riding it. 27-inch wheels, 28mm tires, possibly a slightly high kind of road bottom bracket. Just did not feel small. It's right up in my business. Exactly how I like a bike to fit. So depending on how you measure it, things are crazy. Sometimes measure lug tips. Most of them measure the top of the lug for most vintage bikes. And that gives me a nice crisp 58. If you try and measure the center, you're getting, 56.7, getting weird measurements. Or 58.5, you try to measure the top lug, so I'm kind of just going to the top. It's a weird way of doing it. All frame builders and custom bike builders do center, so just center of the crank to the center of the lug, where the tubes join, so maybe like kind of like the top of the stay. 58, top tube I'm going to do center to center, because why wouldn't you? And that's going to give me a nice crisp 56. So that's kind of a short top tube. Funny for an upright e-bike. Maybe we'll have to go to a longer stem. We'll see. I liked it. The owner might change it. Like, whatever, man. Measuring the wheelbase from center to center, making sure the wheel's straight in the frame. The saddle to, this is the reach, basically from the tip of the saddle to the middle of the grips. All the relevant stuff we can think of. Count the chainring teeth size, count the freewheel teeth size. Gonna get the serial number. Flashlight. Greasy. NK626. Beautiful. And that's really all the relevant stuff. I've been typing away on my laptop with the measurements. I'm gonna go proofread it. I'll still probably screw it up and print it out and get it taped on as well. I'll get this guy listed. Cool, cool. Last but not least, I did myself a little build sheet for the Univega, just so I can remember what parts I put on, and have the serial number for whatever customer buys it, so I can have it for their own records kind of thing. Did my cute little old Carl Edwards logo. Said the size, I'm calling this a 56. Really, it fits more like a 58. Really, I'd call it a 58. But 56 is better sounding, and if you measure it center to center, it's a 56, which guys like to do. Top tube's a 56, so I'm going to call it a 56. So for the size, I called it gave it the name, the Univega Super Sport, and the Gentleman City Bike. Oh, and I left out a quotation mark. No one will care. And I wrote that it's from the late 70s, early 80s. I wrote some of the cool stuff like mint original condition, Japanese, triple butted chromoly. Called it a Cafe Cruiser, which is like a fun name for the style bike. There's a big Facebook group for that. These guys are into this kind of bike. I mentioned that it's fully refurbished, and then talked about all the new stuff. So grease, bearings, chain, brake pads, cable and housing, Pan Racer Pasela tires, saddle, grips, Velo Orange Tourist upright handlebar. And then I mentioned vintage flat bar brake levers and Sun Tour power ratchet thumbies were sourced for the new bar. The rest of the build is stock from the factory in great condition. Then I talk about the size of the freewheel. And it's the Sun Tour AR derailleurs, Gino cranks, blah, 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 27-inch wheels. Mention important stuff like it's got room for fenders, it's got eyelets for fenders and racks or a basket. And the fit, 56, really 58, if you measure the top of the seat tube. The wheelbase, it's centimeters shorter than that little teeny tiny 46 centimeter Bianchi I just finished. So it's a pretty tight old road bike for being 27-inch wheels, have room for fenders. Yeah, I mentioned the reach from the tip of the saddle to the middle of the grips. Some people got that kind of stuff dialed in. Crank length, chainring size. I mentioned my YouTube channel in case you want to watch the build videos. And again, that serial number. So that's all the important stuff. And we're going to call this bike done as well. Now I have to get back on this Bridgestone CB1 City Limit from 1990. Because really it just needs the brake cables and housing set up and straddle cables installed, and that is ready for a test ride too. It's been sitting for months. I think CB1s are super cool. A lot of Bridgestone guys don't, because they're the cheap bike that year, because they're just like a commuter bike. They weren't like a serious high-end mountain bike or cool light, or the serious road bike or whatever. So they're not worth a ton of money, which is kind of a bummer. I kind of think they should be. They're pretty nice. And if you're just going to use it for city commuting anyways, like what the hell? And you can always upgrade the parts like most guys do even on nice bikes. They switch out everything anyways, so what's the point? I originally bought this carbon fiber Giant to switch all the parts over to make them nice and silver. And then guys were like, that's Giant's worth money. I've had the Giant up on eBay for weeks. Had it on Craigslist, no one cares. It's not worth any money. So if it doesn't sell this week, I will probably do a video on how to tear down a bike and what to save. Because I think all these Giant Dior parts would be really, really cool on like a vintage touring bike. Like something with canties, room for fenders and all that. Maybe use the Dior hubs. Maybe to score a Dior rear hub. Build new 700C wheels and use a Dynamo front hub. Because that would be dope. Which, if the bikes are 700C, will be perfect. The bikes are 27, and the paint's not so good. Maybe I'll go insane and move the candy bosses, and get the bike powder coated, remove and face everything, do all that over at Belladonna Bicycle Shop. So we talk about let me do a little shop tour anyways. Maybe do some little braze-ons and some things for the videos, because that would be cool. My buddy Tim, who's also like an amateur frame builder, he came over the other day and bought some tools, and he's got a pretty good setup at his home shop, so I can come over there and shoot some videos. So I do really want to do a shop tour for Belladonna Cycles. I want to do a shop tour at Tim's. I want to do a shop tour for Tomcat bikes, and I'd love to do a shop tour of Frame Builder Supply, and maybe some more. We'll see. Shop tour videos are cool and go over well. I always liked cool frame builder videos. There's not a lot of them on the internet. Not a lot of shop tours, not a lot of frame builders who really do a lot of videos or share stuff. There's Brody Bikes now. He's doing a lot of videos for frame building, which is cool. But we'll see how nerdy we want to get, how much free time we have. I've been doing this while being unemployed all winter. See what happens when I get a real job again. Half and half on opening another little repair shop. Or a little frame builder studio, just making racks and doing frame mods, which I love. I don't know if there's enough business to really support that. If we get a real small space, it's really cheap. Or, get a job with the Parks Department. City job of some sort. It's not terrible. I tried the mailman job. It's terrible. Don't do that. We'll see. Boom! Woohoo! Another bike done. I do have to clean the seat post off. The leather on this EBT stand holds every bit of dirt and grease. It really makes a mess. So it uglies up all my pretty seat posts. I used to always stuff a rag in there, but then you got this rag in the way. You're fighting it to get it out of the way, or you're trying to tighten bolts or do the thing. Wow, that is not coming off. What up, bud? I guess the seat post is a little chewy. So it goes, good enough. It's a good start. I'm gonna edit these videos together. I got this and finishing the Bianchi, and then finish that city limits. As soon as we sell a couple, I got a couple in storage in a friend's garage. I got an MB1, which according to eBay might be worth too much money to even work on. I might have to just sell it as is. If not, work on it. It's a little too big for me. If it was a size smaller, I'd probably keep it. Sell my aluminum 90s Trek and start riding this 92 MB1. We'll see. I'll have to test ride it some more and play with it. So thanks for watching.